Oh, yes.
Welcome back once again, everyone. Today we're taking a look at the new Transformers Generation Selects Shattered Glass Optimus Prime and Ratchet. This is officially number 17 in the Hasbro-initiated Generation Selects line. And this 2-pack consists of redecos of Earthrise Leader Class Optimus Prime, just the robot portion, so essentially a Voyager class toy, as well as the Deluxe Class Ratchet from Earthrise's Galactic Odyssey collection. They're straight redecos, no retooling or anything. And they are the first non-club initiated, fully originally Hasbro Shattered Glass toys to be released, outside of the one Masterpiece Optimus. So this sets a really cool precedent. Up until now, they've been very reluctant to mess with the whole Shattered Glass concept. The closest we got was Power of the Prime's Rodimus Unicronus, which in early shots did utilize a Shattered Glass Autobot symbol, but they inevitably changed him to a Decepticon because I guess they just didn't want to go that route. Well, now they're going whole hog on it. You got 2 evil Autobots. There are rumors of further Shattered Glass toys, which are supposed to be Hasbro Pulse exclusives. So there'll probably be more Generation Selects, or maybe they'll actually have their own subline. That would be cool, like a Pulse exclusive subline of Shattered Glass toys. So this is kind of our first taste of what to expect. Now, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at the toys in their packaging, then we'll open it up. We'll see what's inside, we'll see the instructions, and then we'll see the characters themselves in both vehicle and robot modes. I'll be doing some group shots and comparisons today, and then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So your toys come in your standard Generation Select style box, albeit much larger than most of the others because you have a Voyager and Deluxe class toy in here. But it's got your standard fare for the War for Cybertron based Selects toys. Logo, graffiti, all that wraps around the side. Here you get your logo with the names of the characters and the number for the set. Your Generation Selects logo. Pointless stuff, logo here, and then that wraparound. So that's all there is to see on the outside of the box. Our label has now been cut, so let's go ahead and open this. Standard fare for War for Cybertron inner lining. And here we get the toys themselves. Look at these, huh? So you get Shattered Glass Optimus in his trademark purple and dark gray and blue there. The really awesome red eyes. It's got the cracked windshield, which has been a thing for every version of the character. And you can see he has a purple Autobot symbol denoting the Shattered Glass Autobots. Over here, Ratchet, it's mostly white like his standard counterpart, but he gets a lot of this hospital bluish green going on. Purple accents, also evil red eyes. And you can see a shield here, bears that purple logo. Interestingly, they made the light bar a separate piece in the shell here. It's interesting. Silver gun for Ratchet, kind of a dark gray gun for Optimus. Overall looks very cool so far. And then here we get the instructions. It's pretty thick too. So this says Shattered Glass Optimus Prime and Shattered Glass Ratchet. They actually went out of their way to spell it all out. Look at that. That's funny. Our renders of the toys here. Ooh, it's a good size instruction book. Look at this. I don't mind. More instructions, the better. Okay. So up top we get Ratchet's shield and its different configurations. Shield mode, bazooka mode, battle sled mode, all that. And then you get Ratchet's transformation from robot to vehicle. On the flip side, we get Optimus. It shows you how to give him his weapon, how to store it on his back, how to open his chest and remove his evil matrix of evil. And then here you get the transformation from robot to vehicle mode. It takes up this whole side, along with weapon storage for vehicle mode. So that's good. They don't cut any corners there. They give us this nice thick instruction sheet in case you need that. All right, here we get our two evil Autobots in their vehicle modes. So Optimus has his traditional semi-truck mode, and see the purple is just a very vibrant color. It kind of screams 90s toy. And he's got this kind of greenish yellow for his glass, so the windshield, the headlights, windows, all that. As I mentioned, he's got that really cool crack going on. Got a lot of paint apps. They didn't skimp on him at all. Got all his wheels, have the hubcaps painted. His little fuel tanks are painted this dark silver color. He's got a stripe along the side that wraps around the front here. He's got this upper grille painted. This whole grille section's that same dark silver color. I mean, he is just really, really well done. The leg grills are painted too, smokestacks, Autobot symbol. I mean, they did not skimp on the paint, so that's good. That's good, because not every Optimus got, all the love when it came to the paint. And he rolls very well, just like pretty much all his mold mates. Sometimes the middle wheels don't contact, but it doesn't really hinder anything. Just the way he kind of bows a little. Then you get Ratchet here. Ratchet rolls just fine as well. It's a nice, solid, compact little ambulance-type vehicle. Got his light bar, which is detachable, and is actually made of the same color plastic as his windows. See that there? But really no reason to take this off right now. You get that. He's got some purple plastic here for the gun barrels and his shield. Purple Autobot symbol. Really nice, cool blue windshield like his regular counterpart. The wheels are gray plastic, and then he's got gray paint on the sides, on the grille here. And this is where we come to the part I don't like, the feet. Now, every version of this mold family, starting all the way back from Siege Ironhide to Siege Ratchet to the Earthrise Ironhide and Ratchet, they all have the feet just sticking right off the back here. And for most of them, it's not too egregious because they more or less blend in with the rest of the vehicle body. But in his case, his feet are bright bluish green. So they stick out like a sore thumb and just destroy any illusion of this being, back doors or a rear of a vehicle. So he really suffers from this the most. It's a flaw that they all have. That's why none of them really have a truly great vehicle mode. Because, who are you disguising yourself as right here? What are you blending in with rocket booster feet on the back of your ambulance? So, it's a known issue, so I'm not going to harp on it too much. You already knew what you were getting if you've seen any other version of this mold. So, yeah, but they definitely, the side effect of giving them a nice color breakup is that it makes the vehicle mode look much worse. If you don't like that, you may not want to go for the set. If you've accepted it, you don't mind it, then, it won't kill it for you. So, yeah, these two look really great. They're very functional. Let's go ahead and get a closer look at Optimus with his mold mates. So now here we see every version of Earthrise Optimus Prime in his vehicle mode. Going from left to right, you have the original toy, the Netflix version, the alternate universe Optimus, or dead Optimus Prime, and now our new Shattered Glass toy. So you can see that their overall color layouts are very similar. They have their main color taking up most of the cab, and that, in this case, red, gray here, or purple. Then their secondary color makes up the rear section, or the robot legs, so, different shades of blue, black, or a very dark shade of blue. Each have their own windshield colors, ranging from blue to greenish gray, to flat gray, to, acid yellow. So there's not a huge difference in what you're getting for the vehicle modes. The biggest thing that's going to set this new release apart from the others is, one, his Autobot symbol is on the opposite side that the other guys have it. You can see here. So there's that, and then of course, as I've already mentioned, the little shattered glass, get it? Decal right here on the window. And that's really it for big differences. The only other one I noticed is that the Netflix Prime, he is the only one that doesn't have his upper grille section painted. They did leave that unpainted, unfortunately, but that's an issue with him and not this new toy. This new toy doesn't have that problem. Naturally, being a direct redeco of the Earthrise Optimus, this new one can utilize any version of that toy's trailer, and in this case I've gone and used the Nemesis Prime version from Netflix. It's the closest in appearance because this guy's trailer is supposed to be black, though you do have to put up with having a Decepticon symbol on the side, so it's not entirely, consistent, but it's the closest thing. And if you really want to utilize this, I'm sure you can get like a Toy Hacks purple Autobot logo to slap on there, and it looks really good. If you can ignore that symbol, the silver on the wheels here color match this silver very well. Overall, I think it's the best trailer you're going to get for this guy. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and transform him to robot mode. If you want to see that transformation, check out the original Earthrise Optimus review to see that. I don't want to, make this review too long. Okay, here's that robot mode. And the real big thing you can see that shines specifically in this mode is the lime green accents both on the hip area and on his head crest. Really just helps sell that very Toxic Avenger-like aesthetic. So I really dig this. It makes him very unique, very cool. You can see that his thighs, his little skirt area, and his hands are done in that very flat, dark gray color, which makes him pretty unique. You also notice that his weapon, which can be stored on his back like all the others, is also done in a flat gray color. Now, it's a little disappointing because almost all the other versions of this guy have a painted gun to help make it look just a little more interesting. And personally, yeah, I would have preferred if they had painted it the same color as the smokestacks. But it's not a huge deal. I mean, he's kind of the first of his kind, right? So I think I'll let that slide. You'll also notice that part of the insides of his thighs are painted. Kind of does the same thing the Netflix Prime does, where they paint the first half of this, but not the second. So it makes him more painted than the standard version, but less color coordinated than the alternate universe version, which is an interesting name choice because this is now also an alternate universe version, but you know what I mean. His tolerances are all spot on. No signs of mold degradation. Everything's nice and tight like it should be. His matrix. Let's get a look at that. Open this up. You get your matrix chamber here, and you can see it's a pretty unique one. Uses that same greenish yellow clear plastic that the windows use, which is pretty neat. And you got this purple ring around the core. And now here's the disappointing part. Only one side of this is painted at all. So even the silver for the handles is only on the front. It's not even along like the edges. So unfortunately, they really skipped out of the paint with the matrix part of this guy. So I guess they had to give somewhere, right? Very well painted in his robot and truck modes. Not so much when it comes to his accessories. So just keep that in mind. I guess they weren't doing us any favors. They just moved the paint from one place to another, and that's pretty sad, but it is what it is. I mentioned before at the beginning his red eyes, but let's show those off again because it's so different for an Optimus toy. Aren't many Optimus Primes with red eyes. In fact, the only one I can think of off the top of my head is the Power Master Optimus from G1. So yeah, very, very cool looking. Absolutely dig the way this guy came out. Here's another group shot with the other Optimus Prime toys. And you can see no molding differences, except of course with the battered head of the alternate universe version. And I mentioned he had the unpainted ion blaster. Now he's not the only one. The Netflix Prime just has a black plastic one. So they both kind of cheap out when it comes to their blaster, but other than that, and his particular problem with the Matrix, I mean, he still looks really good. They have the really nicely painted leg vents right there. Get all this detailing in their little hip areas, some more than others. Like this guy doesn't have yellow in the middle, but this guy doesn't have the little blue piece. He gets about the same breakup as the original version when it comes to that hip area. Here's the leg paint that I mentioned. These guys both have kind of half and half. Whereas this dude gets it all in black. Though I think he just has the advantage because he's just black paint with black plastic. So he's cheating. He's a cheater. So yeah, these all look really cool together. And here's a quick look at all of the matrices for our 4 different primes. Now the regular and dead prime have the most similar coloration. The Netflix one isn't too far off, just instead of having a blue crystal, he has a more just plain clear one. And then we get this guy over here, just got to be completely different. Yellow crystal, purple housing. So he is definitely the most unique when it comes to, you know, his matrix appearance. However, he's also suffering from, you know, the least paint by far. These guys, their matrices are painted all the way around. Tops, you know, sides, backs, all that stuff. So, yeah, he definitely got the short end of the stick here. And I think I see where that paint budget went now. They're like, oh man, we put a cracked glass tampo on his windshield. Well, better scale back on the matrix, guys, because heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. And here's a quick shot with technically the only other figure I own of this character. This is the club exclusive Nova Prime. Not to be confused with the IDW comic book character, this Nova Prime has been reformatted from Shattered Glass Optimus by the benevolent Unicron of the Shattered Glass universe, right? If Unicron's normally evil, he's good in this one. So he's, you know, a dark mirror foil to the regular Galvatron, but instead of becoming, you know, more evil, he actually becomes good and becomes a hero and saves the day. So that's the fate that awaits this guy, at least in that universe. I don't know if these new toys are just referencing that existing fiction or if they're going to come up with something different for these. I don't know if they'll have a fiction tied to them in any way, but it's an interesting thought. Sadly, this guy being a deluxe is just dwarfed by his former self now, but, you know. Though I do wish we get a proper Nova Prime toy one day. Not necessarily this version, but like the actual Nova Prime, the separate character. That'd be amazing. It's such a cool design. Okay, moving all the way back to Ratchet now. We have him alongside his standard universe counterpart. And you can see in their vehicle modes, they're very, very similar. They have the same paint layout for their grille sections, just the regular Ratchet has it in black, this one has it in gray. The light bars are the same thing. Obviously different colors for the Autobot symbols. They both have stripes running along the side here. This time, you know, his is gray and it's one solid stripe instead of a, you know, thick one and a thin one running together. Still no paint for the windows because, I don't know, heaven forbid. It's really weird that they don't paint the windows blue, but okay. And you can see purple plastic used here for the gun barrels instead of the gray plastic. In fact, I'm not sure where else he actually has purple plastic. I guess we'll see that shortly. And wheels seem to be pretty much the same color. Both roll well. You know, they're very, very similar and a lot harder to tell apart than the Optimus is to, you know, his counterparts. Obviously, the quickest giveaway is the feet. Look at it. Look at its eye-searing glory. It kills me that they couldn't be bothered to fix that. So, yeah, I would say he's slightly less competent of an ambulance than his regular counterpart. Again, just because less color breakup. You know, he uses just gray for pretty much all of his paint apps. And he has, you know, the goofy colored feet on the back. So I think the regular one wins out by a bit. It's also worth pointing out that their shade of blue used is actually quite different. His is much less muted, very bright, very kind of turquoise colored, as opposed to more of like the ice blue on the regular one. So just something worth pointing out. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and transform this guy. Same as with Optimus. If you want to see that transformation, be sure to check out this Ratchet's review. Okay, we've got the good doctor in now. And for anyone not familiar with this Ratchet's personality, he is not someone you want to get surgery from because he's more likely to experiment on you. You could wake up with like 4 arms or something. So, yeah, buyer beware. So let's see. This guy's colors. First thing I'll say is they're much more broken up than the standard Ratchets. He gets a lot of that blue-green going on the feet, the thighs, the forearms. His glass is colored to pretty much match that. And he's got purple on his shoulders and his crest rather than the standard red that Ratchet would normally sport. Now, I'm not super crazy about the very dark gray paint on the face. It makes it kind of hard to see. A lighter shade or a different color might have worked better, but he does have those sinister red eyes like Optimus does. Very cool looking. And, overall he just kind of works. Looks like a crazy doctor in his hospital scrubs. Here's his little shield on the back so you can see that. Again, looks very cool with the purple. Overall, I think this guy just came out really well. His tolerances are spot on. No signs of looseness or floppiness or anything like that. No weird popping of the joints. Everything works well. Oh yeah, his gun. Let's point that out. Unlike the regular Ratchet, his is actually painted. It's a nice silver color too, which I wish I would have used that color for the face, but oh well. So that's cool. They actually bothered to paint the gun this time, rather than just leave it white. Here is the aforementioned original Ratchet. So you can see, again, much less samey when it comes to the color scheme. Whereas the additional blue really hurt the vehicle mode, here I think it actually helps the robot mode just be much more visually interesting. I mean, Ratchet's cool and all, but for both him and the Siege version, they were just really afraid to break up that white color more than, they absolutely had to. So, yeah, I think it's a bit of an improvement. I'd say this guy would have been much better served had he used gray for the thighs instead of white, but not really anything we can do about that now. I will point out, I just noticed that unfortunately this guy's windshield wipers aren't painted like the originals are. So that's a shame. They're barely even noticeable. I didn't even notice them until I was just looking out against this guy. So they didn't bother to paint the windshield wipers. Oh well. Again, you can't win, right? I was just praising this guy for having a painted gun, and I guess it's got to come out somewhere, just like for Optimus. So in his case, he loses paint on the windshield wipers, so oh well, I guess. Here's a look at the shield configuration, just so you can see them rocking that against their shoulders. And I really do think that the new guy's shield just a bit more interesting looking, less plain. But either one works pretty well as a big riot shield. Here are our guys rocking their bazooka configurations. You can see that the gun barrels are now deployed. Now on the regular Ratchet, just the tips right here are painted gray while the rest is just white. His are purple all the way through, and I thought that was purple plastic. I'm not entirely sure now. That might just be completely painted white plastic. Hard to say, hard to say. I think it looks better fully painted though. I wish they would have done that for him. So yeah, they look pretty cool. And unlike the more pacifist standard Ratchet, I could definitely see this guy rocking a bazooka. Just kind of cackling to himself as he blasts people away. And then lastly, we get our shot of our guys on their battle sleds. And again, not my favorite mode. It's a little janky and, you have a hard time getting these guys to stand on them right. Quick thing to point out, if you didn't see my regular Ratchet review, you need to take the light bar off of the shield piece to get this to really work. Otherwise, it's just kind of wobbling back and forth on that. And it's already hard enough to balance these guys, so I wouldn't recommend leaving that on. Okay, so now we get to see these two together in their robot modes, and they make a really great pair. They both have that matching purple, which normally you'd associate with Decepticons, but in the Shattered Glass world, that's the Autobots. The evil Autobots. So, I think these two make a really, really great set. I'm a little bummed about Optimus not coming with his trailer, but if they went that far and gave him everything, then this set would go from $50 to $70, and I think that'd be a tough sell, so I kind of get why they nixed it. I don't know too many people that pay $70 for a Shattered Glass 2-pack. But, yeah, I think these guys work really well together. Though, because they're just kind of starting this thing with Pulse, it's a pretty small team, so maybe we should flesh this out a bit. I've pulled out all of the Shattered Glass Autobots that I personally own. So you can see we've got Blaster with his minions, Drift, and Stepper or Ricochet. Though actually in the Shattered Glass universe, Stepper and Ricochet are two different characters. They're brothers, so yeah, should be specific. It's Stepper. So yeah, motley little crew we got here. And you'll notice these guys are from all different toy lines. And that was kind of the crazy thing about Shattered Glass, is that even from its inception, it incorporated molds from a multitude of toy lines, ranging from Energon, Cybertron, Classics, Hunt for the Decepticons, Reveal the Shield, Generations, Combiner Wars. And, you know, you can see here even Generation 1. So it was a bit like the old Transformers Universe line, where it just took molds from all over the place and did new stuff with them, recolored them, made them new characters or new versions of old characters. Now, naturally, that leads to a pretty mixed aesthetic. I mean, Blaster especially just really doesn't fit in with this group, but it's still very cool to see. And this gives me hope that they'll continue to flesh out this line and we'll get, you know, evil Autobots, good Decepticons, get to mix them up. I'm curious to see how they're going to do the Megatron. I hope they don't just recolor Earthrise Megs. That would be the laziest thing they could do. They'd be a lot better off just doing a new head for Kingdom Galvatron whenever that comes out. It just would much better match the aesthetic of the original Shattered Glass Megatron toy. But we'll see. We'll see if they go that far with it. I'm pretty excited for what's coming. And I want to say that this set is a really good starting point for that. These guys both look fantastic. They look downright evil, which is a huge inverse of their normal characterizations, right? You get like two of the most goody two-shoes Autobots out there. And, you know, I think this line's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, that is just how I feel about these toys. Now I want to know what you all think. Do you have any plans on picking these two up? Or have you ordered them already? Do you like the whole Shattered Glass thing, or is it just too niche for you or too repetitive? Any and all feedback's always welcome in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this look at the new Transformers Generation Selects Shattered Glass Optimus Prime and Ratchet. And with all that said, I will see you next time.